Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, paddlers. It's been a while. I haven't been ignoring you. I've actually been injured. And that comes from trying to break a world record like the Chinese national team or the Philippine national team, when clearly I am not of that athletic caliber. So I ended up with elbow injuries from too much tricep work. But anyway, I took a break. I've made a bit of a comeback. I'm going to show you the program that I used in my comeback, and then I'm going to discuss the results with you.
Just to recap, the first stroke starts with a high top arm, elbow bent, forearm pointing downwards. The next few strokes we retain that high top arm, although it starts to bend and becomes more of a throwing action just at the catch. And for the remainder of the race, the top arm stays bent and is much more of a throwing action, although at the catch we are focusing on driving instantly, driving from the catch. To monitor my ongoing performance, I use an erg. I measure the power per stroke, and the goal is to become more like the blue paddler. For the first few strokes, I chose this exercise using equipment at a local playground. If for some reason you are barred from the local playground, you can substitute that exercise with this exercise, including wearing the tight-fitting clothes. You can supplement that with this exercise just to make sure that your abdominals are strong enough. This exercise is for the top arm. It's a synchronous movement. Leg drive then drives the hip, which drives the shoulder, which drives the arm. Here is another synchronous movement. Trunk flexion drives the shoulder, drives the arm, and the bottom hand is also doing some pulling. You can mimic the same exercise on an inclined bench. With an incline, you're getting a bit more of an upward press at the shoulder, which is more appropriate for dragon boating. This exercise is for the bottom arm. It's a row with external rotation of the shoulder, which is appropriate for medium or long distance paddling and allows you to extend the force curve. This exercise is a coupled movement. It couples rotation with extension of the arm and shoulder for the top arm. This exercise is to help you maintain downward force on the paddle with the bottom arm throughout the stroke.
In addition to dragon boat training, I'm always doing athletic training as well, for athletics, for running, for sprinting actually. In fact, most of my previous research in sports science is in athletics. And whilst at university, I developed a method of training which I thought was perfect for sprinting in athletics. Anyway, long story short, I'm also injured, so I can't do athletics. So what do I decide to do? No dragon boat training, no athletics training. I decide to do some training for martial arts, which was what I used to do years and years ago. Turns out that the training method are designed for athletics, called rapid dynamic training, and you can see some publications on it. I don't know how to put a link, but if you Google it, I'm sure it'll come up somewhere. Rapid dynamic training turns out to be perfectly suited to martial arts. Increases your speed and power dramatically. But it also happens to have some effect, some dramatic effect on dragon boat performance.
The primary purpose of the strength training and technique focus is to improve drive from the catch. Here is an example of an exceptional paddler. This is what happens when you can improve driving from the catch. This shows the difference between an elite paddler and a sub-elite paddler, which I've taken from a publication by Sarah Ho. The difference is, from what I believe to be, the ability to drive from the catch. Rapid dynamic training performed by the gangster. Try to do 50 reps as quickly as possible. Here using the sword. If you can identify the gangster, please do not report him to the police.
Okay, so after concurrently training dragon boat exercises, not that frequently, but doing a lot of martial arts training with the rapid dynamic training, I decide it's time to just explore dragon boat again, see if my injury still prevents me from paddling. I decide to start with a 60-second paddle, training pace, about 70 to 80% of maximal. The kind of speed you would train at when you're just doing your first set. You don't want to exhaust yourself for the rest of the session, so this is your warm-up set. It's an easy set. 1 minute of paddling. I find that I've broken my record over 60 seconds by about half a boat length. Easy. Now that's luck. Injured, can't paddle. Injured, can't do athletics. Do martial arts training with really fast strength training exercises incorporated. Improves dragon boat by this much. Luck. Luck that it will last you forever.
Using the concept introduced by Dragon Analytics for dragon boating, showing sequential movement, here I've introduced all the joints which may be relevant for dragon boating. If you lack the power across any of these joints, power which is force times velocity, if you lack the power across any of these joints, this will limit your ability to produce power in the top arm and probably the bottom arm. I believe that from rapid dynamic training, I was able to increase the power across any of the joints that were weakest, and this resulted in increased power in my top arm drive, which improved the power in my catch. It might be more appropriate for dragon boating to do one exercise with both arms starting higher.